of our daily routine, and what we should do, but to keep ourselves safe, but it's also to keep everybody else safe in the building. If we look at cooking, we're probably on a small cooking fire at least once a week in the communities we serve. Not all of them get to the point where they're large, but you know what happens is people start to cook. We live busy lives. They get distracted. Cooking becomes unattended, and next thing you know, we have a fire in the kitchen. And like I said, when the fire is doubling that fast, it's important to stay put. Smoking is another cause of fires, so the recommendation there is if you smoke, do it in the exterior. Make sure that your cigarette butts are extinguished in either water or sand. We've been seeing a big trend with people putting cigarettes out in potting plants. What they found is that stuff is very flammable, and over time it just starts to smolder, which can cause fires on porches, decks, different things like that. Candles are another cause of fires, so we want to make sure when we're using them that we have at least a 3-foot area around. They shouldn't be close to any other combustibles. With electrical, make sure we're not overloading our outlets. And if we need additional plugs, it's recommended to buy one of the power taps that you can plug multiple cords into. We should never piggyback those, and it's not a good practice to use extension cords. Extension cords are something that we're going to use for temporary use only. They're designed, if we pull out the vacuum, power tool, hedge trimmers, but they're not designed to be consistently used to something to power appliances, TVs, or electronics. And then, believe it or not, one of the other top 5 causes is dryer fires. It's really important that each time we do a load of laundry that lint is cleaned out of the lint trap. And then at least annually, depending on how much laundry we're doing, we should have the full exhaust tube inspected and cleaned out just to prevent fires. So, in our building here, there's several fire safety features built in. So we're going to talk a little bit about those so you just have a good understanding of your building. So the building is served by a monitored fire alarm system, which incorporates smoke alarms, heat detectors, audio and visual communication devices that alert us to the alarm, and then pull stations. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of those. Starting out with the smoke alarms. So we're going to have smoke alarms within each individual unit. We're going to have smoke alarms and some heat detection in the common areas. So the difference between those two is that the smoke alarms that we have within our units do not transmit to the outside agency. So that is what we would call a local alarm. So if you had let's just say, a kitchen fire that would set off a fire alarm, that is not transmitting that alarm to the outside agency, which we call the North Shore Fire Department. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the evacuation process when we get to that. Now the alarms that we find in the common areas, those are going to transmit to an outside agency and call the fire department automatically, okay? The audio-visual devices is what we would see on the wall. It's going to provide a flashing, and it's going to provide the sound for the alarm. So what it does is twofold. If you weren't able to hear the alarm, the flash is going to alert you, and it's extremely bright, and then it's going to also have the audio component. Pull stations. Pull stations within your buildings are going to be located on by each elevator on the first, second, and third floor. The main entrance, the north, south, and west exit doors, north and south garage entrance doors to the lobby, and these are all listed in your plan. The north and south stairwell entrance to the garage levels, and the north and south ends of the first, second, and third floor. So basically the rule of thumb, where we're going to find pull stations is at an exit. The purpose of the pull station would be is if we were to have a fire within our apartment that does not transmit out, we want to warn everybody else in the building. So as we were walking past the exit, the pull station is something that we want to pull. The visual on it, it's a red box. It has a handle. You pull down, it sets the alarm, transmits it to the outside agency, which then in turn calls our dispatch center and sends us on the call. Emergency lighting you'll see throughout the corridors. The purpose of the emergency lighting is if we were to lose power, which in many cases during a fire we do. Typically one of the first things we're going to do when we get on scene is we start stretching hose lines and get more companies on scene. We're going to cut the power to the building. Okay? The emergency exit lighting is on a battery backup, which offers about 90 minutes of light. So one of the recommendations in your plan is to have a flashlight available in the event that maybe one of them is burned out in the hall. We find that as we go out and inspect buildings, it's sometimes very challenging to always keep this exit lighting working. Because they're constantly under power. A lot of times, throughout the year, one of them goes bad, which goes undetected. So it's just a fail-safe to have that flashlight with you. So in the event we did lose power, you'd have a way to light your path. And as I said, even if the exit lights are on, there is a limited duration of time that they're going to illuminate the hallways. So within our exits, the biggest thing is to become familiar with our exits. Typically with exiting, what we see is, if we were to picture ourselves in a movie theater, where are the two primary exits of a movie theater? If we were sitting in the front row, they're typically going to be right up in front of the screen, right? Where would you guess most people exit? Creatures of habit, we are going to exit the same way we came in. Same here. The exits that you use throughout the day may not be the closest, most appropriate exit during an emergency. So it's important that as we walk through the building, we familiarize ourselves with the closest, most appropriate exit is, okay? We want to make sure, as respect to others, respect to ourselves, we keep those exit paths clear. So having things stored in the hallway would be something that we would be not in favor of, just because when this building was designed, they were designed with the exit widths in mind for the capacity of people that the building holds. As we start to clutter those exits, what it's going to do in an emergency is people possibly would trip over something, and as we get a mass amount of people in a hallway trap, it doesn't lead to a good situation. Throughout the building, there's going to be fire doors. We want to make sure that those doors remain closed at all times. We don't want to block open fire doors. Many times with the fire door system, they are attached to the fire alarm, so there's a magnetic release. So once that alarm goes off, the doors automatically close. Basically what that's doing is it's preventing the spread of fire throughout the building and smoke. So if we had something, the best thing we can do in a fire situation is isolate that fire so it doesn't spread to other areas. Bedroom doors, it's always recommended that we sleep with our bedroom door closed. The main reason is because out of those fire fatalities that I talked about in residential settings, the majority of them occur at night. Why is that? We're not awake. If fireworks starting here right now, start small, we all easily can exit. But now put us all to sleep, the only way we're going to be alerted to it is by that smoke alarm. Smoke alarm does take some time to react, so we want to make sure that at night those doors are closed so we're protected in the event there's a fire outside of our apartment.